Yeah. You talk a lot about this whole, and you just mentioned it, this whole idea of spiritual attainment as an internal journey, and sort of like everyone should be embarking on this personal quest for spiritual growth. And and I think a lot of times people hear that term spiritual growth and then they go, this is really woo woo and out there, and that's not a direction I want to go. And I think there's a shift in that. But what is your reflection on that? What is this attainment for spiritual growth actually look like to you?
Sure. Well, if I said I think everybody should be on a path for spiritual growth, I actually disagree with myself. So I'll argue with myself there.
I might have misquoted you. Apologies if I did. I remember seeing a post on that. I'm like, it resonated with me, so I just thought I would ask about it.
I think it's beneficial for people. But I think it can take many different forms. So, for example, some people, like myself, are primarily interested in unification with spirit, one of the sort of aims of the Eastern arts. I think for other people, it might be a life of service to God, if that's what their belief is. I think for other people, it might be a service to an orphanage or a charity. For other people, it might be service to their family. My view is that everybody should be bettering themselves so they can be of better service to something higher. But it doesn't have to necessarily be a meditative path. I mean, more power to all of these guys that go and dedicate their lives to rescuing kids from the middle of nowhere. And that's a spiritual journey to me. So I'm sort of wider in my definition of it. I just don't think that anybody is happy if their life is about them, from what I can see. I've never met a person who's made their life about themselves that's ended up in a particularly good way. They either end up miserable, grumpy, resentful, hateful to the world, alcoholic, drug addicted. Something bad happens to them in the end. Whereas the people I've met in my life who have a deep sense of giving themselves up to something higher normally lead a life of joy, sometimes with turmoil, but generally get into a better place. So that's what I advocate for. But whatever form people find that to be, then, good for them. It doesn't have to be a practice particularly. It's just that I happen to be involved in one particular thing. But I do believe that many people don't have anything of that sort at all in their life. And I think that is why there is a massive explosion of depression, and a massive explosion of, cruelty to one another as well at the same time.
And when you say that most people don't have that anymore in their life, you mean some sort of a belief or an ideology around something bigger than themselves, whether that be religion or God or whatever it may be. Call it whatever, a higher version of themselves. Is that what you were referencing?
Or a cause.
Or a cause.
I mean, or a cause. It could be a cause too. And sometimes that cause isn't that healthy. People can become radicalized in an unhealthy way. But a healthy cause of I think people need something, yes, so that they can absorb themselves into that, so that their personal perspective is not that they're the center of their own universe and everything else is just, even people talk about it, I'm the main character in my movie, I see, and things like that. And it's like, no. Become a supporting character in your movie and you'll be much happier. It would be my view.
How does one find that? So someone's listening to this show right now and it resonates with them. How does one find a higher meaning, a higher cause? What are some steps that one could do to just sort of start learning about this higher attainment and a life towards serving others as opposed to just self-promotion? Get off social media for starters.
Yeah, I think if most people, if they have a certain degree of intelligence and they're not damaged, I think it's very difficult if you're already in a place of great wounding, of course, because the exception to everything I said is if you're already greatly wounded, then you probably need to do something to build yourself up first. Mm-hmm. And then only when you're strong enough should you then look for something higher. It's almost dangerous to come from a very damaged place, self-esteem is crippled, and then try to serve others. That's a whole other problem. So I think people should build a baseline of self-esteem and strength first. But then I think after that, if you have a certain degree of intelligence about you, I think if you just simply sit with yourself with no distractions for a few days, you'll normally find it. People will normally find there is some drawing magnetic pull within them towards something. They'll decide they want to study this art, or they'll decide they want to have a family and, produce the next generation, or they'll find there's some cause that they really care about. Or maybe they'll just feel this deep sense of gratitude for something that they can't explain, that is there, that is moving, and that becomes the compass that leads them towards something higher. And I think people should be encouraged more to do that. I mean, in the old days, we used to send people out into wilderness, didn't we, for a few days as some kind of coming of age ceremony. And wasn't that as much as anything else to be away from any distractions so you can figure out who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do and what is your purpose in life? And how are you ever going to find that if you go from school to college to video games to movie to Tinder to whatever the hell people are doing, just going blah, 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 blah. There's no space for other people to find these things. And I think that's a part of the way that they've managed to end people's connection to any kind of religion, really, is one, make people paranoid about it, that it's sort of cult. And the second one is keep people so distracted that they never actually find that sense of yearning within themselves that leads to something higher. So I think that's probably a good start for most.